he has the power to wipe out the entire human race. If we believe there's even a 1% chance that he is our enemy, we have to take it as an absolute certainty.
The greatest gladiator match in the history of the world. God versus man. Day versus night.
You're psychotic.
That is a 3-syllable word for any thought too big for little minds.
I've known a few women like you.
Oh, I don't think you've ever known a woman like me.
Okay. I believe that it's the critic's responsibility to judge a film for what it is, not that it's an exact translation from the source material, not for it to match your ideas of what you wanted, character, tone-wise, or whatever, just to analyze it for what it is as presented. So does this interpretation play? And to that, I give an emphatic yes. I love this movie. Admittedly, this is less a superhero blockbuster and more a drama with action, but even still, it doesn't take away from my enjoyment. I thought that Ben Affleck's interpretation of the character was now the best on screen. I mean, I love Christian Bale, but one of the things that's always detracted from my ability to enjoy his performance was always the lack of a voice modulator, like that weird chain smoker pack-a-day habit style voice that he had was so distracting. And quite frankly, I'm not gonna lie, I feel a little vindicated now. Because I remember back in the days when Batman Begins was about to be cast, and the only place that you could really talk about this stuff was either on the superhero hype forums or Batman on Film. And I gave out 2 choices of who I wanted as Batman. Either number 1, Christian Bale, based on his performances in American Psycho and Equilibrium. Or number 2, Ben Affleck. And everybody laughed and called me crazy. Who's laughing now? Well, Ben Affleck is. Well, actually, maybe not.
I just wondered whether that, how that makes you guys feel and whether it will even affect the film.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk to you again.
But anyways, I loved Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. Although her time was brief, I still love what she's bringing to the table because she's presenting a real strong alpha. Like, for instance, I love that when she's battling against Doomsday, she's reveling in the hits. It's like when you go to martial arts practice and you have to spar against someone and you finally get a combatant that's challenging you, and it's just like, oh, yes, now we're talking. And the adrenaline and endorphin rush kicks in. Great representation. Okay, so next, I genuinely disagree with so many of the critics that feel that it's convoluted in the beginning. I thought that the subplot was very clear. Lois and Bruce are both investigating the same thing. Who is trying to smuggle in a dirty bomb into the country? Just so happens that the dirty bomb turns out to be kryptonite, and it just so happens that they're following 2 different paths. You've got Lois that's following the bullet, and you've got Bruce that's following White Portuguese. But they're still both following the same road over to Lex. Speaking of which, boy, did Jesse Eisenberg do a great Riddler. Oh my god. Oh, but seriously. No, look, I like this interpretation that he's providing because it's similar to what you have in the Birthright series, where one moment he is very anxious, very nervous, and the next moment he's just this psychotic lunatic. And what I like about it is that it's different, because it's not the villainous business mogul that we've already seen how many times on film now and in the cartoons, and thank God it wasn't Mark Zuckerberg, again from The Social Network. Let's talk about the killing factor and the moral codes. For me, I didn't mind it, based on the framework that the filmmakers provided. Now, I know that a lot of people are saying that Batman shouldn't be killing, that it's the one tenet that he's not supposed to break, but I appreciate seeing this grittier version. It's new on screen, and in this world with the framework as presented, it fits. He's on the brink of moral bankruptcy. He's old and resentful, and quite frankly, it's a world where it's either them or him. I mean, there's a guy during the fight to rescue Martha where he shoots him point blank in the head twice. If he didn't have the cowl, he'd be dead. And as for our other lead hero, time's up. This better be the last film where he's trying to figure out who he is and what he needs to do to embody Superman. And although I appreciate subtlety, there are one too many times where this guy's just being way too stoic. I mean, it's coming off as wooden, and you have to be able to emote. This character clearly has feelings about what's happening around him. Express them. let's talk about the visual effects. Okay, for the most part, CGI is to enhance a scene and not to be noticed, but in the style of Snyder and his team's compositions, there's always this layer of falsity. That's okay, because that's part of his style. So when I say the VFX in the following scenes were terrible, please understand that that's not what I'm referring to in terms of the general composite. But when it came to The Flash, and when it came to Doomsday, this is a $250 million film, and y'all couldn't spend a couple more hours adding on a few layers of texture here and there? I mean, these effects were terrible. Absolutely god-awful. And with a film with a budget of that size, there is no excuse as to why they couldn't have been fixed. And in addition to that, especially after the release of Trailer 2, y'all should have gone back to the VFX studio and said, "This looks like dog shit, we're getting hyper-criticized for the quality, fix it." In terms of the pacing, I didn't mind it. In fact, for me, I don't think that there was anything to mind. I thought that for a serious, grim drama that happened to have action in it, it was well done. However, as to the superfluous scenes of the Justice League, wow, did you not need to force that in there. But yeah, anything having to do with the Justice League, I could see how those scenes could be completely inaccessible to those unfamiliar with DC comic lore. And I still love that through line that's connecting this movie to Man of Steel, where you still have that Catholic imagery that's just laced throughout the entire film. And I thought I was the only one that picked up on this, but Christian Geek Central also pointed this out too. Like, I always wondered, like, why would they move it away from, like, Captain America Civil War to, like, March 25th? Oh, well, we have a hero with a messianic characterization, and we have him dying in this film only to be risen from the dead in the end. And in Catholicism, Jesus is entombed on Good Friday before rising from the dead on Easter Sunday, so sure, let's keep going with the whole Jesus thing. Last, I love Jeremy Irons, Lawrence Fishburne, and Amy Adams. I thought that they gave strong performances, not to mention Scoot McNairy, and of course, Holly Hunter as Senator Finch. That Senate scene should be studied by actors, it was so good. And of course, there's so much more that I want to talk about. The Batmobile scene, the opening, but those are videos for another time. So please check to make sure that you're subscribed so that way when they drop, they show up in your newsfeed. But anywho, I love the film. I really hope that a lot of people go out to watch it, and for sure, it's one of those films that, again, it's going to be divisive, just like Man of Steel was. And it sucks, because right now, this film has so many things working against it. I mean, 3 years of anticipation and expectations from a fan base that loves the property and has their own idea of what each character should be and what this story should be. And couple that with a stable of successful films, light in tone, that have been running the gambit for the past 10, 15 years, and now all of a sudden you have this dark, grim story. I think it's going to end up being one of those films where we look back on it and we're going to say, wow, I don't know why I hated it. This is a really good movie. But take the criticism, learn from it, create something better. But anyways, those are just my thoughts. And remember, please subscribe so that you are notified in your newsfeed when the next video is uploaded. Please remember to give this video a like and share it about. Help support this channel by checking out and using any of the links in the description below. You people are awesome as always, and thanks for watching.